YouTube, what up, man? It's your boy AyeDeon. I'm back and you another video. We just put out a vid in regards to some review bombs going on, and come to find out, I actually did it on the wrong part of the shit, but it kind of worked out in the long run because there was other parts of the reviews on Steam that still made a lot of sense for me to record for y'all. But it was actually, y'all see it in the pin, it's more for the RedSec version. So if you go to RedSec and then view info on that, it has a mixed review versus the mostly positive that's on BF6. But there are still a lot of the same complaints that are on both sides of things for BF6 and RedSec. Even if they are separate, there were still a lot of the same shit. But either way, I did want to drop a new video on top of that. So y'all gonna see the same clothes from the last video because I'm literally recording it right after. This was gonna go out a little bit later, but these are my settings, new updated settings, controller, gameplay settings, accessibility, HUD, all that good shit. I got it in this video for y'all, man. So it's the new updated things that I have personally for my setup. I'm currently running a 3070 graphics card in my gaming PC, Intel, not an Intel, an AMD Ryzen 7 3700X CPU, 32 gigs of RAM. So it's not anything extravagant. It gets the job done for what I have. So if you have something like this, hopefully this helps you. If not, maybe you have something a little lower. Use it kind of as a baseline for things. If you have a little bit higher, use it as a baseline. But I have kind of in the middle, meeting in the middle. So with that being said, I'm also using some IEMs just so y'all can see what IEMs I'm using. You got Aritays, Fire IEMs, but I'm also using the Astro A40 mix amp that they're plugged into to allow the sound to come in. So I have like the Dolby Atmos stuff and all that stuff kind of coming in. So keep that in mind as well. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into it. So I'm gonna start right at the accessibility off the rip. First thing we're gonna talk about is my master volume. I have it right now at 88 because the game is so loud with these audio settings that I do use. So I've turned this down just a little bit so I can also hear my voice chat when I'm in Discord or Xbox parties. I can hear my teammates talking to me. Tinnitus, SFX, and relief frequencies. The SFX volume I have at 0. Relief frequency I have between 1,000. You can also drop this if you want to about anywhere between 13 to 14,000. Pretty much this is those extra tinny sounds that you get like if you're shooting or getting shot, flashbang, stuns and stuff like that. This makes it so it doesn't ping your ears so damn loud and just for no damn reason. So if you cut that all the way down, you wanted to worry about ever hearing that shit. Color profiles. This is all personal preference. I've just kind of darkened up a couple of colors, like I changed the friendly color around, squad color around a little bit, enemy color around a little bit, but this is all personal preference as well. Take it how you want, whatever you need. World brightness I have at 38. This helps reduce some of that damn sun that's blazing your shit. They also changed it in this update though to where when you're looking out of a building, outside into the sun isn't as bright and glaring into your eyeballs as much as it was before. So that's a W. But this helps just dimming the game down just a little bit to where it's not still as overly bright when you go outside, and the sun hitting you at certain angles isn't going to kill you. Camera effects, turn the blur off, motion blur, world blur. The HUD motion, personal preference, I just leave it on. Camera shake, turn that off. Reduce sprint camera bobbing. So if you're sprinting, your camera kind of moves around like it's bouncing if you have it off. I turn it on so it doesn't do that. I'm just running straight, not on extra movement. Chromatic aberration off, infantry crosshair projection off. Doing this, if you leave it off, keeps your crosshair static so it doesn't move around, and you'll always keep it centered on your screen. So we already know W's on that. Turn your vibrations off. Don't need it unless you want that immersive play. Your call, but leave that shit off. The next thing I will tell you is anything else here like ping hints, in-game tutorials, all that good jazz, all personal preference. Let's move on to gameplay. The biggest thing here that I will tell you is we're gonna go over this in controller. So I'm not gonna go too much into this as far as aim sensitivity. We go into controller to do that. Crouch, toggle, sprint, leave the stand. Double tap forward off, vault over off, so it doesn't just make you jump over shit while you're sprinting. You have to hit the A yourself. A or X, whatever you're using. Double tap crouch for slot, I have this off. So now instead of having to double tap your right stick or B, whatever you use to crouch, or a circle, whatever. To turn this off, you only have to hit it once when you're in a sprint. Just hit it one time, you go right into your slide. You don't have to worry about anything. Roll camera and landing roll. I've been contemplating between doing this on or off because sometimes it can be annoying when you do a roll and possibly get into a fight and you don't see it getting ready to happen. So I'm kind of in between, but I just like the effect of it that it gives personally. Everything else here is the same. I didn't really touch the vehicle stuff too much. And like this the aim assist stuff too. We're gonna get into that in just a second. For my HUD, leave this on. Horizontal HUD padding, put this to 100. This brings your mini map and everything close to your screen, just like we do in Call of Duty anyways. Put that together so you can actually see your mini map down at the bottom a little bit better. And you'll also be moving the mini map up to medium or large, your call. I don't like to have it too small, but I may do it to large at some point. Or what I'll do is I'll zoom it out a little bit so I can see more of the mini map when I'm looking at it and doing it that way. Another quick thing about this, Sovis filter, soldier visibility enemy filter, talks between realistic soldier lighting that does tend to blend into the environment and contour lighting. Turn that off. This is another thing that kind of makes your game look a little weird, like it looks a little bit fuzzier, a little bit grainier still, even without any film grain. Get rid of that. You'll feel a little bit better with how the game looks. You can see a little bit better as well. Advanced HUD and icon settings, big map opacity 100, squad nearby. I'm not gonna go too much into this. If you want this simplified squad list, it literally just makes it to where it just shows your teammates at the bottom, their names, barely any low health thing there. That's it. There's not really much else there to it. So I kind of leave it as is. Icon intensity, I leave this to 60. Icon scale 93, 90, 90, 90s, hundreds, all for the rest of that. And then the icons opacity for zone sizes 50, 10. I'll leave that there. You pause it if you need to. We're gonna keep it pushing. Like I said, mini map size medium. Background opacity I have a 77, so it doesn't take up too much of like me being able to like see certain things that maybe in the corners that I'm not able to see. Maybe somebody's laying down there. Cone opacity, cone edge opacity. View distance on foot, I have it 160. If you want to be able to zoom this out, toss it to 250 so that way you can see a little bit more. Same thing with ground vehicles, distance to air. I'm probably gonna leave this at 250 just so I can see a little bit more further out when I'm on the run, because I'm on my feet a lot more of the time than not. So I'll probably leave this at 250. We leave the compass on there so we can see the compass, being able to make call outs better. It also allows us to see spotted enemies as well. Crosshair opacity 100 and 100 for intensities. I have this kind of like a golden yellow, your personal preference. I just feel like I can see this a little bit better on my screen. Leave that thing thick, a little thick boy. Like I said, it's kind of it's easier to see a lot of time in any of the spots here, so it definitely helps out. Turn that off. Hit indicator and intensity 160. I changed my hit colors. The main thing I want to be able to know is if I'm getting headshots and when I get the kill. So I like being able to have my headshots around the same thing as my crosshairs. So that's helpful. Kill color is a blue instead of a red. Red kind of just too much on the screen for me, so I just dimmed it down. And for armor hit killers, we're leaving it like that. Hit indicator number sizes also allows me to make calls of how much I'm hitting the person for. They do take up more of your screen, so if you want, you can drop this down to medium, so you're still able to see it while it's not blocking too much of your screen either. Probably gonna do that myself unless I need to change it, and leave the numbering how it is. Infantry stuff the same. Chat background, I turn it down a little bit. Now let's go to controller. This is where all the bread and butter is. So what I did is I changed the button preset to alternative, which allows me to have B to be my melee or circle, and then my right stick is so I can crouch, slide, go prone, things of that nature. Going to edit and controller settings. So infantry aim sensitivity I have at 42. This is a good balance to be able to turn. Balancing that in with like the zoom ratios and the aiming left to right and the aim input curves. I'll explain here in a second. I have field of view at 105. I may bump this up to about 110 instead. This is also helping for the graphics too, so it's not opening up too much of the map to where it's consuming more of my PC that I don't need it to. 56 for the vertical aim ratio, and vertical zoom ratio is an 80. Turn uniform infantry aiming off. A lot of people will tell you to turn this on for a certain leave it off. You'll understand. Infantry aim assist, we leave it at 100, but we turn the aim assist slow down to about an 87. So this still allows it to slow down when it's necessary when you're on someone, but it doesn't make it to where if you have this at 100, you're gonna go so slow in turning, and yeah, you'll be locked onto them. The issue is you have no real freedom to be able to move about with your aiming like you want to, and if you move just too much slightly off of him or her or whatever, you're gonna end up missing your shots a lot more. So this helps out with that. Now, infantry aim input curve and zoom aim input curve, I have on VF3. This is probably the closest thing to dynamic that you'll have in like Call of Duty that I feel like so far. The only other one that might be somewhat close to that is this one here, but this seems to have the best slope for dynamic as of right now that I've seen. And then stick input acceleration presets, we leave that as standard, so it's a straight 1-to-1. Aim left to right, we have it at 50. If you do it any more or less, it's gonna change how your acceleration moves, how slow or how fast it goes left to right. Infantry sprint toggle off. Again, left stick to sprint. And you don't need to have this because it's already linked into just doing your crouch slide with your right stick or B or whatever you use to slide. Now, infantry zoom aim sensitivity, you have at 100. Zoom transition sensitivity smoothing, we have this on, so it still helps keep everything smooth with your aiming as long as you know what you're doing and you can aim properly. But we turned from a 1 zoom all the way down to 4.5 to 80. Now the infantry zoom aim sensitivity is still at 100, so you can still aim good, relatively quick. So if you're needing to do what you need to do, you can handle that. But it makes it so it's at least slow enough to you be able to control it a lot more in certain gunfights, maybe at distances or maybe at a range that's still kind of far but not too far, and you can control your recoil a lot easier. And then once you get to the 5 times and up for sniping, you move it up to 110. This allows you to be quicker on your aims and still be as accurate as possible, getting those heady taps and all that good jazz with your snipers. Anything here, so interact and reload, I have on prioritize interact. I like having this a lot better for playing RedSec, so I'm able to tap, pick up shit a lot quicker versus having to hold any buttons and things of that nature. I'm also going to do this and this because this has destroyed me the past couple of times I've played, because I'll be hitting A trying to like jump or something like that, trying to avoid some bullets or something like that, and I hit A for too long and I end up taking myself out. So don't be like me, be better. Just do that. Just hold the damn button, okay? Just hold it to make it do what it needs to do. Everything else the same here. Turn the gyro button and aiming shit off, disable it, no need. Flick looks are crazy if you can figure out how to use it properly, because you're aiming one way and then you hit a certain way and you're facing the opposite direction, get like a quick turnaround kill. So if you figure it out, by all means let me know how you feel about it. As far as vehicles, 30 on the aim, 8100s. Didn't really do too much. Zoom sensitivity coefficient 177.8, 70. This seems to have worked pretty well. Like I said, I haven't done too much with the vehicles and transports or aircraft or gunners. Biggest thing here is going into controller tuning. Again, like we said, go ahead and cut that vibration off. Now the dead zones are very important, but they're key mainly based on your controller and your stick drift that you have. You want to go left stick wise, you want to go as low as you can, because the quicker you hit your left stick, the faster it is for you to start moving. So you want to get it as low as you can without going overboard to where you're getting stick drift by just putting your controller down. And then let's say you're in the middle of a fight and you're not holding that left stick and you go to aim and you just start randomly moving and crawling and shit, it's going to throw off your aim. Your bullets going to be spraying everywhere and that bloom going to kick in and it's going to ruin your life. Same thing with the right stick. So my controller currently, I have a GameSir G7 Pro. It's wireless on PC, wired on Xbox. It has 1000 hertz polling rate that's on the controller itself for PC. The issue is I'm already starting to get I have a super small stick drift, but it's like a 0.78, so it's nothing crazy. I just been going crazy on the controller. but it resets itself pretty much frequently. You can reset the sticks and everything like that. Now I put the center dead zone to 7. I can drop this down, but I feel like this also helps with, I don't have to push the button as much. But if I need to get off of someone on my aim, I have to push it a little bit more to where I can make sure that I snap onto him, onto the enemy, and still be able to guide it relatively well without going overboard or too far under. So I feel like it helps me a lot better. And as far as the axial dead zone, this is personal preference, but if you turn this up, you're able to move a lot more freely, going like circular in your aims versus left, right, verticals and horizontals, shit like that. You have more of a circular aim. I don't really need to do anything much with that. I like having it at 6 for both. It does pretty well. And again, also max input threshold is 80 for the left stick. This allows it to be quicker on the registration for me moving up and down, left, right, all that good stuff. And then your dead zones for your triggers, 0, 100, 0, 100. I mean, it's that simple. Now, the next thing we're going to get into and is going to be, let's do audio first, and we'll go into graphics afterwards. And for master volume, like I said, 88, based on just how my setup is. You can crank this up, but you'll understand why I went 88 instead. Sound effect volume is 100. That's all the stuff in the world, the voiceovers, the footsteps, explosions, all that good shit. Leave it at 100 because you need to be able to hear footsteps. That's the biggest thing, because footsteps aren't that great on the game right now. Hopefully they adjust it and fix that as time progresses, so the footsteps are a little bit clearer, and also zip lines are a little bit clearer depending on where you're at on the map. Music volume, I have it 0, unless you want to have that kind of ending themes as you're getting in the heated battles during the game and stuff like that. Your call. Commander voiceover volumes so I can hear the in-game announcements that's being said. I just have it at 60 so I can still hear everything I need to. Same thing here with soldier and campaign voiceover. Maybe able to turn it down a little bit. Let's leave it at 85. And UI sound effects, I'm not too worried about the sound effects of my UI moving around and switching, so I leave that at 60. Hit indicators will be at on. Now I use 3D headphones. I'm between 3D headphones and headphones. Headphones probably the better one, but 3D headphones is relatively good because it has a little bit more of a punch to it. And if you have like spatial audio or Dolby Atmos and stuff like that enabled onto whatever you're using, that kicks in a lot better for being able to hear footsteps and things of that nature. This right here is one of the reasons I'm going deaf, is because of audio mix. So high dynamics lowers it a lot. This is where you're not really hearing a whole lot going on behind. And then if you notice, night mode goes up a little bit. War tapes gets louder. War tapes VAL is even louder. If you want to go deaf, go VAL. You're gonna hear everything, but you'll definitely go deaf. I feel like war tapes is probably the safer balance out of all of them. If you're gonna go for that higher mix, and you can always, scroll through here. You can use your right stick to scroll through here as well. This has the largest difference between loud and quiet sounds, suitable for loud listening levels with professional audio systems. And like I said, for war tapes, a raw and aggressive mix with narrow dynamic range and higher distortion. And very aggressive listening, it expands upon war tapes with further raw aggression in the heated battle. Personally, I think high dynamics is probably the better option, just because you're supposed to be able to tell the difference a lot better. So if you pair that with headphones or 3D headphones, I feel like it will probably be a lot more beneficial. Then you'll probably have to turn the master volume up a bit more to be able to hear a little bit more. I personally like being able to get drowned out a little bit more with my sounds, but I'll probably be messing around with this a little bit more to really determine what I want. And we waiting on Artist War to drop a video at some point in time with his audio settings, so you know how that goes. Voice chat volumes, ducking. I have one on push to talk because I'm talking to my chat a lot of the time, which twitch.tv/AyeDeon. I also live stream here on YouTube as well. Make sure to like, subscribe if you enjoy the vid, all that good stuff. We leave this kind of how it is, flats and all that good stuff. We've already talked about the tinnitus sound and the effects and have the radio music off. Now, for the nitty gritty, graphics. I have customs. UI brightness 50, sharpness 65. You already know the field of view. You've seen about this stuff with the field of film grains, motion blurs. Make sure you're on full screen. Make sure your refresh rate is the highest it can possibly go to. Turn that VSync off. There's no need for VSync at all. Now, let's go right into quality settings. So texture quality and texture filtering, you can turn these both to high if you want to. So with texture quality, the only thing it's really doing is RAM. So if you have a high enough RAM, you'll be fine. I've run it on high, but you can always go up to ultra based on what I have, because it's not gonna really hurt you too much. But I do high just so it still looks good, but I still get the extra frames that I want to be able to get. Texture filtering I have on low right now, but I can always bump this up to high. But it's mainly gonna eat at your GPU, so keep that in mind. Everything else is low because it eats up at so much of what's going on. I could always do lighting quality and move that up to high, but I like to save the extra amounts if I can. Everything else low, PCF low, off, low, low, low. One thing I will say is, because even though this stuff is on low and with what I have set up, unfortunately, I still have problems with frames. And I don't know how much of that is because of the game optimization or my PC itself, but there's moments where I still have problems with the frames where I'm barely even seeing 100 frames. And depending on certain parts of the map, I'm only seeing maybe 60 to 70, even with low settings. So hopefully that gets adjusted. I don't want to be able to have to go to all the way to low. I like to be able to have some form of where my game looks good for the stream purposes. That's just me. And then as we're going to go down to advanced here, 100, leave that how it is. I limit my frames to 163. My baseline for my monitor is 165. That's the maximum hertz that I have. I lower it just a little bit, so if it does jump over a little bit, it's not going to hurt me any. And there's no like tearing or anything like that. NVIDIA reflex low latency, have that enabled. Help you out with that little bit of a boost. I use DLSS because I need it. I need the extra frames that I can get. Unfortunately, even with that, I use balance. If I go to performance, I don't really like how the game looks at that point. Performance and underperformance, yeah, it saves you frames and all that good stuff, but it looks disgustingly horrible. So I go balance. People say not to use the frame generation for AMD FSR because apparently, frames are fake and you have apparently some type of input delay as well with DLSS. I haven't noticed a difference personally, so I don't know what anybody's really talking about. Plus, this gives me the frames I need to be able to play the game to where I'm going from 100, maybe 115 frames to 150, 160 easily, so I can be able to play the game at a better pace and be able to see things more crisper and cleaner. Future frame render, you do leave that off because that does give more of an input delay more than anything. Performance overlay, this is to allow you to be able to see frames, things of that nature. If you're going to use anything, just use simple. You don't need to go above and beyond. There's also console mode that you can use where if you are on like PC and stuff like that, you're actually able to pop open your console here and you can type in certain things that you want to be able to see on that performance mode at any point in time, or the performance overlay. You can always change that however you want to. But those are my settings for what I have for my setup here on Battlefield 6 and Battlefield RedSec. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the video. Be sure to leave a like, comment down below. Let me know what y'all thinking of Battlefield 6 and what are you thinking of the RedSec BR mode that they brought in. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Stay safe. Thank y'all for watching the videos. Thank you for subscribing. And I'll catch y'all next video, man. Peace.